I think the main one that I would make is that as I drew attention when Ms. Bierman was here, that the National Academy on Climate, or National Panel on Climate Change did release a report today, and it follows, it's quite independent of, but follows the reports recently from the International Panel on Climate Change. I'm also involved in a number of other organizations, both faith-based ones, some from the artist community, some from the science community. And I guess the level of concern is very high, and many of those organizations point to South Florida as being kind of at ground zero. We're very low. Fortunately, here in Lake Worth, we're a little higher, but when people are talking about 1, 2, 3, and maybe even 6 feet of sea level rise, being at about 8 feet is not much freeboard. Certainly the indications are that we can expect change in climate, in the severity of extreme events, and increase in temperature, of course, all to be happening faster rather than slower. And I guess the way that I see that coming back around a little bit to our community is that we're in the process, as I've alluded to before, of thinking of borrowing some money to improve our community. And I would just encourage us to think about, are there things that we might want to do in that process of borrowing that might be either hedges against things that we need to prepare for, or things that we can do as a community to reduce our carbon contributions to the worldwide problem. So I'd like to keep that awareness on people's minds.
Thank you. Vice Mayor?
Thank you. Just wanted to follow up on in the context of the potential for a bond referendum. City Manager?
City Manager?
I just wanted to follow up on this series of meetings that we're going to be having, and Pam, you've got the dates, would you?
Yes.
Yes, I do.
I don't know if we publicly announced those dates. If we could do that now, and then have a couple of questions. Do you have the dates?
Yes, absolutely. The first one's going to occur on May 14th at 6 o'clock. It will be a District 2 Town Hall meeting being held at the Scottish Rite Masonic Lodge. The second one is May 17th at 7 p.m. That is District 4, and that would be, wait a minute, I just lost my list. I believe it's called the Glass House.
Yes.
On First Avenue South in Gulfview. The third one is May 21 at 6 p.m. That is District 3, and that will be held at the First Congregational Church on North Cape Street. And last but not least is May 22 at 6 o'clock. That would be District 1 at the Lake Osborne Community Center on Wingfield.
Thank you, Pam. So today's the 6th, those 8 more days. So our first meeting. Is staff ready with their presentation? Any handouts?
Well, it was our understanding in the discussion that the presentations in the district meetings would hopefully be y'all guys doing the presentation of the PowerPoint. And it's a lot of the same data that you've seen and had presented and discussed. We're putting the final touches on that presentation this week.
Okay. Just want to make sure we're ready, because I'm starting to hear more chatter out there, and I'm getting excited about it, and hope that we're ready. I am a little concerned about the District 4 venue. The Glass House, maybe get 30 people in there. But I'm just throwing that out there. And what are we going to do if we have more than 30 people show up?
Use the band shell.
I'm sorry?
Band shells.
I'm just throwing it out there. I'm concerned about these meetings. I think that these meetings are important, and I don't want to overlook any potential,
The District 4, the biggest venue we can find that normally is used is the other one's Brogues, it seems, but we didn't think that was a
If I could, that one is being held in conjunction with the Bryant Park Neighborhood Association. So
Yeah.
Commissioner Zerti has taken the opportunity to piggyback on their meeting and to grab as much crowd as he can.
Okay, all right. And what are we doing to market these meetings? Again, when we talked about this, we talked about really making sure the man, woman child and living creature in the city had an opportunity to understand what we were up to and an opportunity to attend these meetings. So how are we getting the word out?
We're pushing it out through ads in the paper and the best we can through the internet. It's going to be very limited. Our difficulty is doing this in such a short time frame. It really is. We talked also about possibly using the illegal A-frame signs.
Don't make fun, there are.
I know.
All right, well, that,
If I could, the commission have a work session on the 13th, at which time staff will be providing pretty much the same information as will be presented to the district meetings, and certainly those are our standard meetings that the general public can come to the chamber if they cannot make any of those 4 meetings and hear what is being said and what will be presented in the streets.
thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Marceau?
I had the honor of hosting Mayor Priscilla Taylor to the city, showing her around, showing her our needs. It was a great day, and she heard our needs, so hopefully anything on that level she can help us with as we move forward. Earth Day was great success for Kiwanis. Also that day we had the Tropical Ridge Playground build with the CRA. Great turnout. And I think that's all I have at the moment.
Commissioner Zerdy?
Thanks. Yep, I had some fun with moving mulch around there at Tropical Ridge that day with a big pile. Happened fast too. I tell you, the AmeriCorps kids are amazing. So that was a really good event. Earth Day as well. I got a new pink Tabuya tree, so that's good. Derby Day was a good thing that happened in Bryant Park this last weekend. There was a lot of people there. Had a good time there. Commissioner Maxwell also helped judge the Derby hats. I was at the NAPC meeting, the Neighborhood Associated President Council, last Saturday. It was a very enlightening meeting. I do want to thank Commissioner Amoroso for letting me assume that liaison post here, because we really had a lot of information, and it's really a good group of folks there now in leadership positions. Mary was running a good, strong meeting there as always. But one of the things that came to my mind the most was the repeated notes that a lot of staff has participated in many of the neighborhood association meetings. Jamie Brown's been out there, and we have Mark Woods was out there too. Larry Johnson. I'm going through my notes. Let's see, catching up with who else was out there too? Yep, William Waters made presentations as well. So I thought that was very good for a lot of staff to catch up with these different neighborhood associations, and I'm really pleased to go and get there as much as I can. It's the first Saturday there of the month. I also attended this last month here the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council, and we're going to have a presentation in a little bit here on that, but there's been a lot of information out there on All Aboard Florida. We'll get a little update. I'm really pleased to have Ms. Delaney show up here tonight. But a lot of discussion happens at that level on a large planning basis. And it's good to hear a lot of feedback from a lot of other cities that have some similar issues collectively as we look at what happens along our whole eastern seaboard, especially in southeast Florida. And one of the things I've been most concerned with, because I grew up here since I grew up and been in South Florida for 50 years, is the lack of the connectivity getting to our railroads, and especially even Tri-Rail and so on. So we're trying to put some influence of what best we can on the use of movement from eastern and western parts of our communities towards that, so you really could make an impact then on people on the roads. But right now, there hasn't been a lot of discussion officially or in writing about that, and I think the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council intends to push that issue more, because that's gonna be a key one, I think, for it to even be successful, if it's going to have good ridership, and for it really to be beneficial to cities like ours, which really are planning to have a station here in any short period of time that I can see. So that was, I'm happy to also attend those meetings as well.
Thank you. In reference to that too, Tiger Grant money's got approved in the legislature, right? Since we're gonna be talking rail here a little bit later on, whatever, you know that we've been working on that from the MPO on my side as well. One of the projects a little bit closer to home that I have been talking with the organization for and doing a study on is, number one, the obvious, everyone knows that 95 doesn't connect directly into our downtown area, and Dixie Highway is our gateway. You know, you come in, we have those gateway projects on 10th and 6th, 6th and 10th North, but then you still have to hit Dixie Highway to come into the downtown, and as we know, Dixie certainly can use some improvement. And there's been a trend towards, one of the things Kim will probably tell you too, she's been at all those meetings as well, a lot of these big projects, and I think I had mentioned this before, that were planned 25 years earlier to be happening now in the western communities, because that was the big push back there, the growth in the western communities. They're really starting to refocus. The western communities don't want them, and the eastern communities, there's been this whole migration towards the downtown areas. People look for a walkable life, and in both, you know, young and baby boomer age, you know, looking to kind of reinvent themselves in urban environments, and that's where all of these biking and the rail and all these things come in. But the one thing we need to focus is that a lot of those monies, I've been trying to say, hey, if you're not going to be spending them out there, Dixie Highway is really a corridor that desperately needs transformation. And one of the areas, at least to start with, we've had discussions of talking about from 10th to 6th, what we'd like to see there, and have those conversations now, because there are monies being made available for alternative types of plans that involve pedestrian walkways and bike paths and landscaping and things like that would really beautify the area while also providing a kind of nicer entranceway into our city. So those are some of the things that have been discussed, and I'll of course be following up on that. Some other things, the Mayor's Prayer Breakfast. Thank you to everyone who came out. That was an incredibly inspiring morning, and hopefully the start of a new tradition. We had pastors, reverends, priests, rabbis, Buddhist leaders, and every race, you know, every religion of every single kind. It was really cool, but most of all, really inspirational as we talked about our needs and wants and love for this community, and by working together what we can achieve. It was a wonderful event. Thank you very much. I was honored to be a part of it. Caught the tail end of this. I didn't get the whole message on. Representative Hager had called City Hall to talk about $50,000 being, have you heard anything about this? In a parks grant of any kind? Possibility we might be getting, I don't know. It just was coming in as I was.
Yeah, I believe there was a grant on the Northwest Ball Fields.
Is it Northwest Ball Field? Okay.
I'll try to get you some details.
Was calling to say that it had gotten approved, so I'll get further clarification on that. Today had an interesting presentation on dark skies in reference to the lighting issues. As we start to address our infrastructure and things like that, we should you know, really look at incorporating some of these things and being proactive in regards to, you know, focusing the light, so to speak, in the places that really need it, and also saving money. Well, as we do that, there's a lot of great opportunities to do that, so hopefully we'll be looking at that. And also, if you didn't hear, we had an 8.19 preliminary property tax increase that was mentioned. Being cautiously optimistic because it changes at the full report at the end of May. It did last year, but knowing as we go into the budgeting session that we had budgeted for a 4% increase, so 8.2 sure would be swell. So just to kind of bring that. All right, thank you everyone. Public participation.